Hello, my name is Kobold, one of the two developers of Hellish Quart. Today we'll talk a bit about Longsword gameplay and answer some general questions about the development of the game. Last few weeks we spent on finishing the Longsword gameplay. This was quite a challenge because we needed not only the 300 required animations to make two stances for Longswords, where each has its own animations, but also it turned out we need new system for wind and bind gameplay and a new system for overpowering the light swords with the heavy swords. So the first system is weak part versus strong part of the blade. Now the blades of the swords are divided in game logic to weak part and the strong part. If the opponent's blade is blocked with a strong part, the block is solid. The opponent's attack's animation blends to a bit different one, where the blade is stopped not only by physics simulation but also by the animation itself. This greatly reduces the chance of dealing damage by forcing the attack over the block. If the opponent's attack is parried with the weak part of the blade, the animation of a sword cut proceeds uninterrupted and is stopped only by physics simulation inertia. This may or may not lower the blade's velocity enough for the block to work. If your saber weighs 600 grams and your opponent attacks you with a 1200 gram longsword, your block will most certainly give in if you block with the weak part. Now, what decides if the block was made with the weak part or the strong part in the game? Mostly proper distance. If you are too far from the enemy, his attacks most likely will land on your far end of the sword. That's the weak part. If you have a lighter weapon than your opponent's, this will result in your blade being pushed in by the enemy attack. But if you are close enough, the opponent's attack will likely land on your blade's strong part, closer to your hilt. This results in a strong block, and the enemy attack will stop not only with the physics simulation but also with attack animation. The longsword gameplay, as well as other weapons, it's not finished yet, and it won't be finished on early access release. It will be playable, but I plan to add many gameplay elements. The most important thing that is yet to be invented is the grappling gameplay. I don't want to be a mini game separated from main gameplay. That's why this will require some serious thought. The best thing for me personally about this project is inventing simple yet fun ways of fencing using a gamepad, and I feel this can be done for ringen too. That's a term for wrestling. Now, there was a few challenges I had to overcome in last month. For example, fight scoring system code got rusty and stopped counting correctly how many matches you won. It would seem that is the simplest system possible. When the opponent dies, you get a point. But in Hellish Quart you also have double kills. That means there is often up to a second to check if there is an afterblow. Systems like that sometimes fail if I introduce some new weapon or try adjust other systems' values. It takes a few days to detect and fix bugs like that, which is likely to introduce some other bugs. Hellish Quart already has a considerable amount of fighting rules and mechanics, and the more there are, the more time is needed to fix inevitable bugs. Therefore, the more time is needed to develop the game. Many of you probably wonder why I don't hang out on social media and forums to chat and answer questions like I used to before. This is simply because all my work time is spent on making the game. A bigger company Even studios as small as 6 people can delegate one dev to interact with the fanbase on a daily basis. In case of Hellish Quart, it is not possible. We are too small a team, making a game that requires thousands of animations, tons of research, scanning historical clothes, modeling faces, producing cutscenes. When I just hang on forums, spend hours on browsing all the posts, thinking on answers, the game development simply stops. I will spend a significant amount of time chatting with you guys after the early access premiere, but for now I really need to focus on code, new weapon systems, and just making the game happen. Producing animations and testing the game, this is where I spend most of my time. I try not to crunch on Hellish Quart. I certainly feel the pressure to crunch, but when I think of it reasonably, I realize the game will only benefit in the long term if I manage to not burn out. So only 8 hours a day it is, and that includes playing the game to get the feel of it. The game is premiering in early access on February 16th, 2021. Add it to your Steam or GOG wishlist to help it move to the front page. Thanks and see you later.